Welcome to the Port to Port podcast with Ronan.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Port to Port podcast. I'm your host Ronan, and today we have a very exciting guest on the show. Joining me is Matthew Jones. He's one of the co-founders of the Cruise Maps. It's a company that creates stunning, high-quality maps to help cruise lovers track their journeys. Matthew, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you. Yeah, great to be here.
Thanks very much for coming on. So I suppose, Matthew, first off, let's tell everybody, let's start from the beginning. How did the Cruise Maps come to be? How did it all start?
Wow, yeah, it's a while ago now, but in mid 2023, we decided to an old housemate of mine from university. We went to university in Southampton back in sort of the early noughties, and we basically he's a naval architect, and he's become since university is absolutely expert on tracking data for ships. Very niche.
Okay.
For marine insurance purposes and tracking collisions and things like that. We just got chatting again, having met up for first time in a long time. And I'd been working in publishing, and it basically came to me that, could you use this data for something else? Could I've got a bit of a family connection to the cruise industry. My parents worked for Cunard in the 80s and
nice.
QE2 for many years, and so I'd sort of always had that in the back of my mind as an interesting industry and something I'd like to kind of engage with, and two and two together really, and just said let's test this out using this data to create a print map for cruise passengers that kind of showed exactly where you went, rather than, I think people are very used to itinerary maps that show you
Yeah.
Go right. And we put it out there in August of 2023, and it went really well. And off the back of that, we basically decided to go for it.
And were you both? Did you ever have cruises yourselves, or is this just something where you've both just decided, okay, let's do it, even though we haven't cruised before, or what?
Will's a big sailor and had gone and done a ton of racing, sailing across the Atlantic and all sorts. So he's very, very nautical in every way. Myself, I hadn't been on a cruise until I set this company up, which is kind of pretty wild, right? But But I suppose, the connection with my parents, and when you grow up and your parents work on board, it's like it's not the holiday they would choose for you as kids.
Okay, I get you. Yeah. Don't go on holiday where you work.
Yeah, exactly. But then I subsequently have been on quite a few cruises and absolutely love it. So it's kind of
it's once you do one, it's you just get addicted, don't you? It's amazing. It's like I've done 10 cruises so far. Amazing. And from the first one, with me and the wife were just hooked. We were just all our holidays are, majority of we still do city breaks and things like that, but it's the majority of them is cruises. And this year, last year we did 2 cruises. We did Alaska and we did South America. And it was mental, because we flew to Brazil, we did Carnival, the following day we went straight on the cruise, did a week's cruise and flew home. We literally went for 7 days, didn't even do anything else. We barely saw Brazil and we flew home. We were absolutely wrecked, but it was a good trip. But I think Alaska is by far the best place I've ever, I've done a lot in Europe, and I've done a lot of it in other parts of the Med and Dubai, but Alaska is phenomenal.
Yeah, that's top of the list. I mean, I'm going off to the fjords in April.
Nice.
That was the easier option, I suppose, for only having a week to do it.
The fjords is a place I haven't gone yet, but we do want to go there as well.
Yeah.
So I suppose in relation, how did Emma kind of come? Because I know Emma after coming on board as well. So how did Emma kind of get on board with you guys?
A couple of months after we thought of the business and we started to give it a go, we quit our jobs. We thought, okay, let's go for this full time, and we completely serendipitously met Emma and started working with her just initially to kind of spread a bit of awareness to begin with, and then it transpired within a couple of days that we had a kindred spirit on our hands, in a sense. She thinks about the world in a very similar way to us, and kind of we have quite big plans for this, and she's an extremely ambitious person, and I think it just sort of clicked in the sense that she has this amazing community, and also has this desire to sort of build new things for people who cruise, right? And that's
okay, yeah. Okay, I know that's. I see Captain Hudson up behind you as well. There, I
Yeah,
just saw
absolutely.
it.
What I represent.
That's cool. Yeah, that's brilliant. Like, I suppose for those people who are not familiar, like, can you walk us through how the cruise maps works for, I suppose, for them?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's using something called AIS satellite data, which is essentially every ship over a certain size has it has essentially a transponder that satellites pick up the signal from, right? And so every couple of minutes, someone is recording the data of where that ship is in the world, right? Very precisely where it is.
Okay.
And so for the last 10 years, we've got this bank of data since the start of 2015, which is kind of when it starts becoming accurate enough to use, that shows us where ships are at any point, anywhere in the world, right? And what we're
Okay.
doing is basically taking that data, taking your input, if it's on the cruise maps for buying a print map, or if it's on the cruise globe now for kind of putting it in your digital platform. But we're taking, if you say I was on, I don't know, the QM2, Queen Mary 2 from May 10th to May 20th of 2021, we'll know
Okay.
exactly where it was for a period of time, and we can map it out on the map for you.
All
Um,
right. Okay.
that's it really. It's just showing exactly where it went, and then we can add details on top.
Oh, okay, no, that's good. Yeah, because I did the Cruise Globe one at the weekend just to kind of have a look of it and see how it works and stuff like that. But like there was one or two I think that I clicked into, and I think it did say that you guys have to email because do you have to double check certain places or something like that? Is it?
That's it. So essentially, the reason why you should back up slightly there for the Cruise Globe and what it
Okay.
is, but
Okay. Yeah.
the Cruise Globe is something we've just launched this week, and essentially it is it's a digital platform that allows you to completely track your entire cruise history. So every cruise you've ever been on, you'll be able to see uh, exactly where those cruises went, all your statistics about them, everything, right?
Okay.
And it's for free. And I know you know this because you've logged in. But the reason why something like that hasn't existed before, and it does with flights, right? This is very commonplace with flights, flight
Yeah.
radar, etc. It hasn't done before cruising because this historical AIS data is not perfect, right?
Okay.
The further back you go, the less perfect it is, frankly, which is why we cut things off at 2015. But sometimes you're in a busy shipping channel, say, and it's not fully picking up your signal from a ship, and
Okay.
then
Fine.
and other times it might be that there's just a small gap in the data. So even 2 hours of a gap in a 2 week cruise needs to be checked, and that's what we're doing as a company. Is we've got a manual team who are a team of 8 people who are checking each cruise that needs to be checked. To basically decipher, okay, if there's that 2 hour gap, what happened then from other data sources, so we can bring it in and basically validate it.
Okay, okay, cool. No, that's cool. No, it's a brilliant, like I've seen quite a lot of the cruisers that I follow, they've all kind of they've all uploaded it. I'm actually talking to Meredith from her solo cruises later as well.
Oh,
And I
cool.
know she's kind of, yeah, she's put it up as well. And like I think it's going to take off. You can see, like, it's literally all over my Instagram, it's all over my Facebook,
Cool.
everywhere I look, it's the cruise maps or the cruise
Well,
globe.
yeah,
So
I hope so. I mean, it's
yeah.
really meant to be very shareable, and I think it taps into, hopefully, it taps into this sense that we all love, sort of telling people where we've been. But it's nice to have a visual way to do that.
Yeah, no, it definitely is because last week I interviewed a friend of mine who's never cruised before.
Okay.
Like he's done all, like he's been to loads of other places, like all around the world, but a cruise is something that he's never done. But like he's like we've been friends for like 30 years. He's
Mhm.
an English teacher, but he can travel. He does all his chats online and his courses online with people and stuff like that. So like he's able to work wherever he goes. So I was telling him he needs to kind of even experience one cruise just to try and see it. And
That-
like I think it is worth it. Once you do one though, that's
yeah.
it. You're
Well,
going to
that's
get
gonna be
hooked on it.
next up with the globe, where with once we got through this initial backlog of as you can imagine, the last few days have been a bit busy for us
Yeah.
checking cruises. I think had like 30,000 logged in the first couple of
Whoa.
days, which is pretty wild when 25% of them have to be done. So
Okay,
we got
Jesus.
some work on our hands, which is amazing, obviously, and please keep them coming. But no, the next thing up once we've got through that backlog is we want to then build in live cruises. So as in, a live
Okay.
ships are now, and then future cruises. So
Yeah, like
if you can line up all the ones you have booked and they just come into your globe as they happen and you can see them as they're happening, kind of completes the full circle, right? And we're
yeah,
really
that's
excited.
cool. That's very, very cool. So I suppose for like launching this business, like it's obviously been an exciting journey and stuff, but like were some of the biggest challenges that you guys might have faced creating it all?
Yeah. Well, I think initially we just kind of didn't. It's tricky to get something off the ground that has to be global in nature, right? It sort of cruise audiences are pretty spread out across the world, and we're dealing with a print product to begin with for the first 18 months that ended up sort of you need to be able to economically send that to Australia and New Zealand as well as to the US and Canada, and getting to grips with customs and all the various like logistical stuff that I had no idea about beforehand is definitely, that was a pretty steep learning curve. It's all
Okay.
set now, which is amazing, and it's one of those things you just sort of, it's feasible to learn all this stuff if you want to. It's just you just got to learn it once and then it's all set up and it's ready to go. But no, I think on top of that, like recognizing, and for Will, he already knew this because he's an expert in the data. But for me, understanding that this data is imperfect, right, and it's a bit of a wrangle every time, and so
Okay.
it's a really exciting opportunity because we can do something with this data that other people can't, and that's what opens up this as a new concept, right? And I think that's not been easy, but it does present a really interesting opportunity.
Yeah, no, Jesus, definitely. Because I've seen like I saw some the other day. Is he on P&O cruises now as well or something? Have you launched some with
Yeah, so
P&O?
we started doing partnerships with the print maps at the cruisemaps.com. We started doing partnerships with some of the cruise lines. So we've got partnerships with Cunard, P&O, Fred Olsen, Morella, Ambassador, now Hurtigruten. Um,
Okay.
so a good starting point for us, and it's basically a way to sort of, we work with their design team, their brand team, to create a version of our maps that is co-branded. So they design it essentially with our help, and it's got their logo on, their ship illustrations, it's got their fonts, colors, etc. So it
Okay. Yeah.
looks
Yeah. Yeah.
looks and feels very much like a P&O product. um, and then we do all of the fulfillment. So basically, they present it to guests on board and show it as a product, and we know how to make them and send them around the world. So we do that bit.
Okay. Yeah. So like they buy it on the ship, but you guys are still creating it and you're sending it out to them from your okay. So they
Yeah,
don't actually get it on board the ships, is it?
no, because they can only obviously be made after the
Okay. Oh, all right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
so they're sort of, they're just marketing them on the ship essentially, and they're kind of showing people about it, because I think that's there are 36 million people who cruise each year, and I think if you asked all 36 million, still only a fraction would know about the cruise maps, right? So it's
Yeah.
obviously the more people who find out, the better.
And like in relation to like the cruise maps, I can see one of them up behind you and stuff. Is there like any sizes that like is that everyone likes to go for, or is it like what's your best seller, I suppose, in relation
Yeah,
to size?
no. Well, so we've got two frame sizes. The one you see behind me is it's one of our special editions for Cunard actually, and that's a 45 by 60 centimeters.
Okay.
We also have a 30 by 40 centimeters, so it's like a small and a large framed ones. But you'll also see next to the Captain Hudson behind me, this cruise album we've made. Right, the cruise album
Mm-hmm.
is was basically a response to the fact that some of our early customers had bought like 10, even 12 maps for their wall. And even with the best will in the world, there's always like a limit to wall space, right? And so,
Yeah.
so we kind of didn't want to be limited by that. So I went out to try and find a presentation binder that you could put the maps into and like have on your coffee table. That was the concept. Didn't
Okay.
exist. Didn't exist in any quality at all. So we went to a professional bookbinders in Essex actually, and designed this, and it's like cloth bound, really, really nice quality. That's the one right above me, above my head, as it happens. But it's an A4 binder, but holds 25 maps, and that's become our bestseller. Because I think it's
Oh,
just
okay.
like having that on your coffee table when someone comes over. It's really, really tactile, right? And really nice to hold, nice to kind of use.
Yeah.
That sense of that's what we're trying to promote with all of this, with the cruise globe, with the cruise maps, is that sense of being able to have something that you can share and you can tell a story from. It might be digitally with the cruise globe on your iPad. It might be the cruise album sat at your coffee table, but the mechanism is the same. It's like you've come back from your cruise, you've updated your cruise globe, you've updated your cruise album, and you've got a perfect excuse to talk about it to people who kind of come over. So that's the idea.
Yeah, like because when we go away, we still do like photo albums and stuff like that. Like we don't, it's not just digital. Like we keep actual all our like. I literally got like 600 photos developed the other
Yeah,
day, and
someone
it's
so right
mental.
about
Like
that. I still believe that it's like there's there's space metaphorically and physically for a print product. I think that there's people enjoy that, and we put a lot of time and effort into making sure that what we do is of the highest possible quality. Because that's something we learned really early, is that cruise audiences are really discerning audience as well, right? And if
yeah,
you don't and an audience that talks for better or worse, right? So you best believe it has to be good quality, otherwise it's not going to work.
yeah, no, 100%. Like I think because I like from my side, like my dad always like growing up, he always had the photo albums and he always kept going with the photo albums. So I think they're starting to come back because like digital is fine, but as you said, but like to have that physical picture or like we've stuff all over the walls in the house, and like even to have them, even if you like, I wouldn't have 10 of the maps, but even if I had a couple of them, it would be
Yeah,
cool to have like some space just to show that off as well. But the book is like that's a really good idea with
yeah.
the
I think
binder.
people it's more practical in some people's homes. That's all. But it's
No,
same principle for all of it.
no, I love it. Yeah, it's brilliant. And I suppose what's next for the cruise maps and the cruise globe? Like where do you see yourselves going? Like, do you see more cruise ships coming in and like getting on board with you as well and things like that?
Yeah, so I think for the cruise maps, the print maps, it's really these partnerships, right? These partnerships with cruise lines. We want a branded version for every cruise line. I think that's doable. Um, some cruise lines try to do it themselves, but they can only do itinerary maps, and I don't think that's the same. So we'd like to replicate that. We'd like to work with every cruise line and get the word out there. We're also launching next month actually river cruises with the cruise
Oh,
maps.
okay.
One of our most requested things of all. So I'm really excited to get that live. And then on the
That's
globe,
cool.
on the digital platform side with the globe, future and future and current cruises, adding those in, I think is massive. And then the biggest project beyond that is going to be making it into an app, right? So it should be on your iPad, your iPhone, or whatever, and be more portable from that perspective.
Okay, yeah, no, that is good. Yeah, like I think I suppose yeah, having it digitally because I suppose as you kind of mentioned earlier about like the flight tracker and things like that.
Yeah,
I'm brutal because I'm if I see a plane, I'm like I wonder where it's going, and you immediately get out the flight.
I totally get that.
And it happens as well, even living in Cove, because there's a cruise here.
Yeah.
And like, if we're out, we're like, I wonder where it's going next. And you do try and look it up and go, what's the itinerary? But like, it would be cool to have someone go, okay, I know exactly where it's going. Like, I know there's other ship ones out there, but I think there's definitely room for like a live kind of one where you're able to kind of go in quickly on an app and see.
Yeah, I think you're right. There are other ones out there that do live, but where it's missing is like this whole end-to-end experience, right? And by that I mean you've booked a cruise, you put it in the cruise globe, it's there, you can see the countdown, you can see what's coming up, you see maybe who else is on it in the future, who knows, right? And then
Yeah.
when you're on it, you could share that with your friends, with your family, and say, hey, track me here. And then it logs in your cruise globe as a historical cruise that you've been on. So it's like that whole experience. Whereas like Cruise Mapper, for instance, is just doing the live experience. You've got some apps that do a cruise countdown and they do this future thing, but nothing really like ties it all together in a visual sense with a map, and that's what we're trying to achieve.
Yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying. It's going to be brilliant. I already know it's like I'm totally invested
I
in how
appreciate
things are
that.
going. It's
There's a lot of plans.
like,
Still a lot of plans. That's for sure.
no, that's cool. I suppose like where like do you think what cruise places, I suppose, destinations has been the most popular? Or is it totally different?
It's all over. It's all over. But on the print maps, it's probably easier to say because it's been running longer. But on the print maps, people are absolutely loving the world cruise on that. Obviously, if you've been on a world cruise, it's such an obvious thing to go and get and put on your wall. I
Yeah.
think I'm probably biased, but I think that's a big one. Interestingly, one that like a lot of people would assume is not the most interesting map, but is really significant for a lot of people is the transatlantic. And so a lot of people buy a transatlantic map, which is quite interesting. And then
Okay.
you've
Yeah.
got expedition cruises, a lot down to Antarctica and things like that people like. But it really is all over. So yeah,
No, it's brilliant. Like I've seen, like as I said, I'd seen, like I know Gary Bembridge, he's put up a load of the place. Like Gary's is insane, all the places that he's been to as
yeah,
well. It's crazy, and I know Emma has a load of them up as well. Like I suppose, okay, so in relation to like for listeners who've never ever like seeing the cruise maps or anything like that, like where, okay, so let's give them a breakdown. Where can they find you, and like what's there, like is there any kind of deals, exclusive discounts, anything like that that you guys have at the moment?
yeah. So where they can find us, like social media is the good starting point to see what we're all about. We're pretty active on Facebook and Instagram. Both of them is just at the cruise maps. To search the cruise maps plural, and you'll find us in most places. But we're kind of sticking with the sort of trend, as it were, with the globe as well. So it's thecruisemaps.com and thecruiseglobe.com. And yeah, you can find a lot of deals from different people. So usually there's a temp knocking around, but I'm not. Yeah, you go to Gary or Emma's page, and you'll find some deals.
Okay, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Matthew, thanks so much for coming on just to have a
No,
chat today. It's fantastic to talk to you, and all the best to everybody involved in the cruise maps, the cruise globe. I know for a fact it's going to be phenomenal.
really appreciate that. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Matthew. That's it for this week, everybody. Thanks for listening. Hope you all have a good week ahead, and I'll see you next week for another episode of the Port to Port podcast. Thank you. Bye bye.